have any of your companies conducted algorithmic impact assessments? Facebook for newsfeed, Google for the recommendation function on YouTube, and Twitter. Have you conducted internal algorithmic impact assessments? Yes or no?
I think broadly, yes. I don't know exactly what you mean, but if you're saying, do we have a work stream to understand the implications of
understand a risk assessment of positive and negative outcomes of the algorithms that you're currently employing?
Sir, not only do we have a team on it internally, but we have an international working group of experts on algorithmic bias that we convene on a regular basis to discuss.
So your company has never had analysts look at the news feed and the algorithms that are employed on that news feed and said, here are the positive and negative outcomes that we should be considering?
I thought I just answered in the positive.
So you have, okay, yeah. And Google with respect to the YouTube recommendation function?
Similarly, we're constantly assessing and looking to improve.
And so you've got internal documentation that says these are the positive outcomes, these are negative outcomes, and this is the risk assessment with respect to the algorithms that we employ. Is that fair to say you have that?
We constantly do that sort of assessment.
Great.
Yes.
And Twitter, same?
We are assessing. I'd also note that Twitter's use of algorithms is substantially different, and,
Sure.
and people can turn it off at any point.
So would you provide the internal risk assessments to this committee?
I mean, speaking for ourselves and the YouTube recommendation algorithm, we continue to try and improve the transparency we have.
Would you provide the internal risk assessments, which ought to be public, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, in the same way the government of Canada has an algorithmic impact assessment? Any departmental agency that wants to employ an algorithm has to be transparent about it. None of you billion-dollar companies have to be. I think you should be. So would you provide the algorithmic impact assessments that you've said you have done? Would you provide that to this committee and engage in some transparency?
Well, sir, thank you for that. I think we're going to go further than that. We are in the process of, as I mentioned, providing more transparency on a number of things that you will see on the platform. We have actually introduced in some markets already as a test something called waste, which is why am I seeing this? That gives you a very good sense of how things are being ranked and sorted.
So because you're going to go further, I assume it's a yes, you will provide that internal documentation to this committee.
I think we're going to do better. We're going to speak by our actions, as we talked about earlier, sir.
I can't tell if it's yes or no. Google.
We will continue to communicate on how we're doing.
I take it as a no. Twitter.
We believe transparency is key. I think just a couple of points to consider. One is each of these algorithms are proprietary. It's important to think about those things. The other is understandable. That we often talk very different languages. Bad actors and their understanding of how we do our things, and also to judge us on the outcomes and not necessarily
So I'm running
inputs.
out of time, so I want to talk about liability and responsibility for content on your platforms. And I understand for very harmful content, so we can talk about the nature of the content itself, and if it's very harmful, if it's child porn, if it's terrorism, you will take it down. If it's clearly criminal hate speech, you take it down because these are harmful just by the nature of the content. And there would be liability in Germany, certainly, and we've recommended at this committee that there would be liability if it's obviously hateful content, if it's obviously illegal content, there should be liability on social media platforms if they don't take it down in a timely way. That makes sense to me. The second question, though, is it's not about the nature of the content, but it's about your active participation in increasing the audience for that content. So do you believe, a simple yes or no, where algorithm is employed by your companies and used to increase views or impressions of that content, do you acknowledge responsibility for the content? Yes or no? Let's go around. Google.
I think we have a responsibility for what we recommend, yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Yes, we take that responsibility extremely seriously.
Thanks very much.